Being a WWE superstar demands exceptional physical and mental toughness, encompassing grueling travel, high-risk performances, and backstage politics. While the WWE is often seen as a realm dominated by male toughness, perceptions have been challenged over time. Notable instances, such as JBL's encounters with Bart Gunn and announcer Joey Styles, have redefined what true toughness means beyond staged bravado. It's essential to recognize that this focus on male wrestlers' toughness does not undermine the remarkable resilience shown by female wrestlers. Many, like Alundra Blaze, Jacqueline, Beth Phoenix, Jazz, and Ronda Rousey, have displayed extraordinary toughness, often exceeding that of their male counterparts, deserving of their own recognition. Number 10. Steve Blackman. Steve Blackman, known as the Lethal Weapon, never became a top champ in WWE, but was a tough guy. These days, he's into MMA training and bail bonds. Back then, he was feared by many wrestlers. Once, he dealt with a drunk JBL at an airport and made him apologize in front of others before settling things. Another time, he easily took down the Big Show, tied him up, and let him go when he felt like it. Wrestler Hardcore Holly called Blackman the most dangerous person he faced in the ring. UFC's Ken Shamrock thinks Blackman could have done well in the UFC. Blackman's faced tough times, surviving malaria, a broken neck, and head injuries, showing he's a resilient guy.
Now, Steve Blackman, down goes Saturn. The martial arts expert, the Lethal Weapon, goes to work on Test as well.
Number 9. Scott Steiner. Scott Steiner is known for being quite the troublemaker in wrestling. He's earned a reputation for being unpredictable and causing chaos in various wrestling leagues like WCW, WWE, and others. Alongside his brother Rick, Scott was a skilled amateur wrestler back in school, making a mark nationally. Early on, they weren't afraid to rough up less experienced wrestlers behind the scenes. As Scott's fame grew in the late 90s, so did his wild behavior. He clashed with wrestling figures like Ric Flair, J.J. Dillon, and famously, Diamond Dallas Page, even trying to harm him once during a show. His reputation for erratic behavior continued, and he was even banned from a WWE event due to concerns about his volatile nature. Despite this, Steiner has shown incredible resilience, coming back from serious injuries. Some say he's tough enough to win just about any fight, even as he's getting older. His legacy in wrestling is a mix of his wild antics and his undeniable resilience, making him a unique and controversial figure in the sport. Number 8. Jack Swagger. Now wrestling under the name Jake Hager in AEW, Swagger had an impressive start as a two-sport athlete in wrestling and football at the University of Oklahoma. WWE recruited him with the help of Jim Ross, impressed by his collegiate All-American status and record for most pins. In WWE, Swagger achieved success by winning the ECW and World Heavyweight titles. However, seeking new challenges, he left WWE and ventured into real fighting. After joining Bellator MMA, Swagger has secured 2 wins and 1 no contest, the latter due to unintentional groin shots. Notably, he demonstrates skills not just in amateur wrestling but also in submissions and strikes. Competing in Bellator, a globally renowned MMA organization, Swagger's performance is gaining positive attention. Regardless of wins or losses, his transition from wrestling to MMA has boosted his standing in the world of sports entertainment. Number 7. Bobby Lashley. Bobby Lashley is a tough guy in WWE, and he didn't have to prove it by picking on smaller wrestlers or getting into bar fights. His toughness comes from his background in college, the Army, and MMA. Before he joined WWE, Lashley was a skilled amateur wrestler and even trained for the 2004 USA Olympic team until an injury stopped him. Kurt Angle noticed his talent and helped him get a WWE deal. After his time in WWE, Lashley went back to real sports, focusing on MMA. He had an impressive record of 15 wins to 2 losses in organizations like Strikeforce and Bellator. One loss was due to referee stoppage when he had mono, which left him dehydrated and unable to train for months. Lashley, weighing almost 260 pounds of pure muscle, won fights by decision, submission, and TKO. Although a rumored fight with Brock Lesnar in MMA didn't happen, there's hope it might take place in a WWE ring soon. Number 6. Steve Dr. Death Williams. Dr. Death Steve Williams was known for his toughness in wrestling, despite a setback in the Brawl for All. He had a strong background in football and wrestling, being an impressive player for the Oklahoma Sooners. His intense matches in Japan made him stand out, and fans in America recognized him from his time in WCW. Williams was tough and had a fierce style that made him a potential rival for top wrestlers like Stone Cold Steve Austin. Unfortunately, an injury from Brawl for All paused his plans. Known for his grit, he didn't show shy away from fights, facing anyone, including fans or fellow wrestlers. He could take a hit too, once coming back to work after getting 108 stitches for an eye wound. Despite battling throat cancer earlier, Williams fought hard until he passed away on December 29, 2009. He may have faced setbacks, but he remained a tough and respected figure in the world of wrestling. Number 5. Haku. Haku, the legendary tough guy in the wrestling world, leaves you wondering if there are even 4 other WWE stars tougher than him. His reputation as a fearsome and intimidating force is well known, especially from stories of his exploits in bars during the 80s and 90s. While some of these tales might have been recounted under the influence, there's enough evidence to suggest that Haku's toughness is not just a myth. Whether he was fending off numerous police officers, giving someone a black eye, or supposedly tearing out an eye and eating it, wrestlers consistently point to Haku as the epitome of toughness in the business. In an era before social media scrutiny, wrestlers like Haku could engage in rough antics without immediate consequences. Despite his formidable presence in the ring, Haku was known to be friendly outside of his intense moments. Haku's toughness is almost legendary, though his lack of experience in real-world combat sports keeps him from being ranked higher. If you ever happen to meet him, convey our apologies for not placing him at the top of this list, express our admiration, and assure him that we're sincerely sorry. We're really sorry. Number 4. Dan Severn. Dan Severn might seem like a friendly uncle from an old TV show, but don't let that fool you. He's a tough guy who could easily take someone down and bend them in ways you wouldn't believe. He's a pioneer in modern fighting, having been in over 100 pro fights and winning 101 out of 127. Even though he's in his 60s now, he's not ruling out getting back into the fighting ring. He's even keen on having another match with his longtime rival Ken Shamrock. Severn's a big deal in the fighting world. He's in the UFC Hall of Fame and played a significant role in making the UFC popular in the 90s. His success there led him to join the NWA and WWE. Even though his no-nonsense style didn't quite fit in during the wild attitude era of wrestling, the other wrestlers respected him. They were careful not to upset him because they were genuinely afraid he might go full force on them in the ring. They'd call him Mr. Seven backstage to show respect and avoid any trouble. Number 3. Ken Shamrock. Ken Shamrock was called the world's most dangerous man for a reason. He was a top-notch mixed martial artist. Growing up wasn't easy for him. He came from a tough background, facing family troubles and tough times, even getting stabbed as a teenager. His journey in Japan involved both wrestling and MMA matches, gaining attention from the UFC. There, Shamrock became the first UFC superfight champion, fighting in memorable battles. In WWE, he won the Intercontinental title and became King of the Ring before leaving to pursue real fighting again. His later MMA career had more losses due to age and injuries, but it didn't take away from his toughness. Shamrock brought a unique mix of submission and suplex moves to wrestling, but he doesn't always get the recognition he deserves for that contribution to the sport's global audience. He may have faced challenges, but his impact on both MMA and wrestling remains significant. Number 2. Kurt Angle. Kurt Angle might seem fun with his cowboy hat and antics like driving a milk truck, but don't underestimate him. He's a serious athlete who won an Olympic gold medal in wrestling, even with a broken neck. His wrestling skills are legendary, and he's honored in the National Amateur Wrestling Hall of Fame. When Kurt joined WWE, everyone respected his reputation, so his early days in wrestling went smoothly. But that doesn't mean he couldn't handle himself. Once, Eddie Guerrero got into a fight with Kurt backstage. Eddie tried to take Kurt down, but Kurt easily countered and subdued him. Another time, there was talk of Kurt and Brock Lesnar having an amateur wrestling match. Guess who won? Yep, Kurt did. He didn't need to start fights. He proved himself when necessary, even in real contests. Despite his playful TV persona, Kurt Angle was a force to be reckoned with in the ring and beyond. And finally, at number 1, Brock Lesnar, love him or hate him. Brock Lesnar is undeniably one of the toughest WWE superstars ever. His part-time schedule and high pay may not sit well with some fans, and ending The Undertaker's streak might still sting. But confronting Lesnar about it is another story. The Beast incarnate has a legit, tough background, winning the NCAA Division I heavyweight title in amateur wrestling and becoming the youngest WWE champion ever. After leaving WWE to pursue professional football, Lesnar transitioned to MMA, quickly becoming the UFC heavyweight champion. Surviving a dangerous landing during a shooting star press gone wrong and overcoming diverticulitis showcase his resilience. Lesnar's imposing stature and unmatched achievements make him a force to be reckoned with. Stories of anyone testing him are scarce, likely because those foolish enough to try might not live to share the tale. Lesnar's toughness is no joke, and his unparalleled journey sets him apart in WWE history. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more content. See you next time.